What's up, everybody? Welcome to WN420. I'm Lance Storm. This is a time-sensitive video. November 6th is a voting day, election day, whatever you want to call it. It's a day that's very important. We have 3 different medical marijuana initiatives on the ballot to vote for. One, we should just definitely vote no on C, and we should vote no on 3 and yes on 2. This is something that I just can't be impartial about any longer because of some of the things that we're going to talk about in this video. I have one of my buddies here, Tom. He's a concerned citizen who, he knows a lot about what's going on here, and I think, well, let's take it away, Tom.
Hey, I'm Tom. Do your thing, man.
Let's get off and start talking about the taxes of the situation. Amendment 3 is, as most of us know it as the Bradshaw bill. This thing's pretty gnarly, and it's got a few topics that if you don't know about, like the taxes are outrageous, the land forfeiture, or, well, it's not even land forfeiture, it's got
It's eminent domain. So one thing I think that a lot of videos have tackled is the facts, and I think a really important thing to tackle is, I see a ton of questions out there. I'll try to tackle a few of those today.
Right.
One thing I've been seeing a lot is that people have campaigned that, Bradshaw's taxes are only 15% and Washington State has 37% taxes. And one thing I always want to point out is just as like a disclaimer, those tax rates are for recreational marijuana. If Amendment 3, the Bradshaw Amendment, passes, it will have a 15% tax, which is the highest medical marijuana tax rate in the country. It will be the highest medical marijuana tax rate in the country. And Amendment 2, who we're supporting wholeheartedly,
yes.
Amendment 2 will only have 4%.
And that's when you're looking at patients, a lot of your patients don't make millions of dollars, so every dollar counts. Every percentage counts on your taxes. Should be low.
A lot of the misnomers that I've seen out there, some important issues. The Bradshaw crew has been pushing the narrative lately that their tax rate is fixed at 15% and that the Amendment 2 tax rate is 4% but allows for state, municipal, and county sales tax.
Right.
That could push the sales tax up to 20%, right? Understandable. It would be like any other product. You would pay the same sales tax as any other product, plus the 4% tax that goes to veterans health care.
Right.
Now, here's where you're misled by that. Although the Amendment 3 claims to have a fixed 15% tax rate, right? A constitutional amendment in the state of Missouri can only tackle one thing, okay? So, since tax rates and the ability to tax, the ability to set a local and state sales tax and a county sales tax are set forth in the Missouri Constitution already, it would in turn be unconstitutional to use Amendment 3 to repeal those things. So, Amendment 3 has a little clause at the end that says, if any of the above tax provisions are found to be unconstitutional, which they will, then cities, counties, and states can affix a tax. So it's kind of the back door for Amendment 3 to say, hey, we set a fixed tax rate, and then once more taxes get piled on.
So therefore, that where on Amendment 2, it could potentially be as high as 20%. We're probably
realistically, what you're looking at
to 15%.
What you're looking at is Amendment 2 will give us 4% taxes plus local, county, and state sales tax, and Amendment 3 will give us 15% plus local, county, and state sales tax.
So
an important thing to remember, it's not just the taxes that go to you, right? If it costs your distributor something, it costs you something too. And a problem with Amendment 3 is that the wholesale, from the grower to the dispensary, they charge $9.25 per dry ounce.
That's too much.
What you're looking at is a $100 ounce of marijuana for a medical patient.
Right.
Has not only a $15 tax on it, but it also has the added price of $9.25 per ounce because the grower's not going to pay that money. No. They've got to make $1. And the dispensary's not going to pay that money. They've got to make $1 too. That extra money is going to be passed on to the patient.
So you're going to wind up paying closer to $120 to $130 after taxes for a $100 ounce.
Correct. Don't be misled. For the constitutional amendments out there, Amendment 2 does promise a fair and balanced tax rate with a good destination. Again, it goes to veterans health care.
That's really good. And where does the tax dollars on Amendment 3 go?
Tax dollars on Amendment 3 will go to a private research commission, which is headed up by Brad Bradshaw.
Oh, no.
Coincidentally, he will pick 6 people at his leisure who will become board members.
That's crazy.
They'll be paid at the rate of a Missouri Supreme Court justice, which is over $100,000 a year each, to run this private commission. This commission will run all aspects of medical marijuana in Missouri.
Now, this is the commission that will also be entitled to 36 square miles of Missouri land, right?
So this commission is authorized to eminent domain up to 36 square miles of private property in the state of Missouri, and essentially seize that land without the consent of the owner to build what they call a research campus. They will then, allegedly, they will then...
That's crazy. I can think of some key locations and some big players and other businesses that might not like that to happen.
When I say things like coming to a town near you, you won't have a town when it's left. He could take your whole town if he really wanted to.
Right.
So it's important, when we talk about Amendment 3, it's important for people to understand we're not blowing it up.
No.
We're not making things up. I'm not trying to scare you. I am simply, I've got an earmarked copy of it with me here. I am simply regurgitating to you the facts as they exist on Amendment 3. This is printed off the Attorney General's website. So
I have one here as well, and it's Halloween time. This is a good scary read. If you would like to pick one up, you can download it for free on the interweb. This thing is really scary once you get down into it.
I think one of the things that bothers me from a humanitarian point of view are when they talk about taxes and affordability of medicine. Not only does Amendment 2 make the medicine more affordable for the people who need it, but a lot of these patients are low income. A lot of these patients with serious long-term cancer have been out of work for a long time. They're living on disability. They don't have $200-300 a month to spend on medical marijuana to treat their ailments. Amendment 3 does not allow for home grow. Although it's a little ambiguous in the bill, Bradshaw himself has come out very heavily against home grow. If you live in the Springfield area, you've seen his no home grow commercials. Right. The issue with that is that it essentially disenfranchises an entire segment of our population who can't afford medical marijuana, which likely won't be covered underneath most people's health care.
I don't even think it's just that, about not being able to afford it, but there's why shouldn't people be able to grow it?
It's certainly a civil liberties and freedom issue. It is a plant. It helps people. I think anybody who should lawfully be allowed to have medical marijuana should also lawfully be allowed to grow it. So when you look at Amendment 2, it grants the ability to own up to 6 flowering plants. And that is enough for people who don't necessarily have the money to go purchase medical marijuana. Especially, I look at my grandmother, there's an older generation that has a lot of growing and farming and gardening know-how, as well as some pretty slim budgets in their older age. And for them to be able to get help with Alzheimer's and dementia and Parkinson's and the things that are affecting them in a safe manner with things they grew right there at home, I think that's something that should appeal to a lot of our
A lot of people are really
Missourians.
into home remedies, canning their foods, and but that's it's just life culture, and people shouldn't be limited on what they can and can't grow in their garden because.
I mean, you know me. I grow my own garden. I have chickens. I raise my own eggs, very specifically so that I know what I'm putting into my body. I feel the same way about my medicine.
Yeah,
so
I have to agree with that. I was there's so many issues with this thing, and we could sit and tear apart on the taxes for a while. It wouldn't be a big deal. I was thinking about the fact of this eminent domain. That's a pretty big deal, but it's more concerning about who is going to be opening up the dispensaries. It would appear to me that it's not set for mom and pop, but
I
more
think,
like DuPont.
I think when it comes down to medicine and your medical treatment, ask yourself one question. Who stands to make the least off of me? Because chances are, if someone stands to make the most profit off of you, their intentions may not be pure.
Right.
So I like to think about it this way. My issues with the money are because Amendment 3 specifically creates the research board outside of governmental control, and that no government agency has the ability to control it. They don't fall under the same laws or policies as Missouri State employees.
Reading through it, it's almost like diplomatic immunity for these guys.
The hard part is that if we really wanted to explain all this, we'd have to sit here for 2 or 3 hours.
Right.
In order to keep it short, many people wonder, how are they going to put out the licenses? The unfortunate part is not only will it be done by the discretion of the private commission, but the commission is expressly authorized to accept gifts during the decision-making process, as well as to limit the number of licenses and then sell them to the highest bidder. If that's not enough for you, if it's not disgusting enough that they are allowed to accept gifts, which is a fancy word for a bribe, in order to sell licenses to the highest bidder, I find a serious issue in, I'm going to come out and say it, they're not going to cure cancer with millions from Missouri. If we haven't done it as a nation, as a worldwide, with billions, if not trillions, we're certainly not going to do it here in Missouri with just a couple $1 million. And even more so,
you have to look at the cancer research, not necessarily the institute, but the industry. They've been researching it for a very long time. We've had a lot of independent money go into it in a lot of different ways, and it still hasn't happened yet. Well, so let's incorporate cannabis. And
another thing that's scary is,
I don't think Bradshaw's the one for
another thing that's scary is, even if we do, let's throw the guy a bone. Let's say that the Research Commission for Amendment 3 does cure cancer.
Yeah, now we got a cure. What are we going to do with it? I know we're going to give it out to everybody, right? That's what we're going to do. No.
Under Amendment 3, the cure, if they were to cure cancer, that cure could be sold for profit. I, as a Missouri citizen, personally find it disgusting that we would,
why don't we have our pitchforks out, man? This guy's Frankenstein.
I find it disgusting that we would, cure cancer and then charge people for the cure. And I find it disgusting that we, would attempt to profit off of life-threatening diseases that people have, when in reality, what we could, hypothetically, if they could cure it, wouldn't the answer for Missouri just to say, look, guys, we did it. We cured it. Let's get this to as many people as possible. But unfortunately, as you go through, I think the common theme of Amendment 3 is money. Getting as much money as they can get.
It feels like a two-tone theme to it. It's money and Bradshaw. One, Bradshaw gets the money, and two, I feel like he's just in this for some sort of notoriety of some type.
I'll tell you what, you could listen to me all night, but if you want a real good, solid idea of where Mr. Bradshaw's coming from, listen to him, okay?
Right.
Go back, listen to any Bradshaw commercial that you can find. And what does he always say? Bradshaw cares so much about Amendment 3 that he loaned the initiative $1.6 million. You ever loan somebody money you don't expect to be paid back?
No.
So that tells me the first $1.6 million that comes flowing out of a Missouri taxpayer's pocket will probably land right back in Brad Bradshaw's pocket.
Now, speaking of tax dollars in Bradshaw, not too very long ago, there was a big release in the Post-Dispatch about Bradshaw and his own personal tax dollars.
Between federal and state, Bradshaw is approximately $130,000 behind, and the government has filed tax liens. Now, here's the deal. That would be his private business, but he has blamed it on an accountant that screwed up. That means one of two things. Either one, the guy that wants to be in charge of my tax dollars can't handle money. Or two, the guy that wants to appoint people to be in charge of my tax dollars has got a pretty trashy track record of appointing people to handle tax dollars.
That's really what it sounds like.
It's difficult for me to get behind handing my tax dollars to a guy who can't even handle his own tax dollars.
Now, with that being said, because I have to, I can't get behind that either. I stand with you there 100%. But on Amendment 2, who's going to handle our tax dollars there?
Beauty of Amendment 2 is that what we're going to do is we're going to take that 4%. The Department of Health and Senior Services is going to administrate who gets licenses, how they get licenses, how dispensaries are opened up. Another important thing is because medical marijuana will be in our Constitution, under Amendment 3, local jurisdictions can restrict cannabis in their area. Under Amendment 2, because you have the right as a cannabis patient, they can't restrict grows or especially dispensaries in your local area. So cool. Amendment 2, Department of Health and Senior Services will run everything. And the beauty of a Department of Health and Senior Services is when it comes to administering your health care, checking up on pharmacies and things like that, Department of Health and Senior Services is already there. That's already what they do. So why shouldn't the people that currently handle medical issues in Missouri,
they're the right people
not
for the
be the
job.
people who handle this new medical issue in Missouri?
Right.
So under Amendment 2, I think it's really safe. We have a wonderful, we have a government agency, Health and Senior Services, that already exists that can just fold that under their wing.
Right.
We've got a nice fair tax rate with a good destination for the taxes. And I think if it's anything, it's 11 pages shorter than Amendment 3. I think it is a fair, transparent bill that allows Missouri citizens not only access to medical marijuana, but access to cost-effective means of medical marijuana.
Right.
And it brings medical marijuana back to exactly where it should have always been, which is a decision between you, your doctor, and nobody else.
Right. Now, that's something that I get a lot of people to question me about is who's going to be available for it. And that's, a really big thing. I keep having to tell him that with Amendment 2, that's between you and your doctor. If your doctor believes that that cannabis can help you or benefit your life, then looks like you're going to get a prescription for it.
And
right?
I think that's, as we're wrapping up here, I think that's a wonderful thing for us to touch on, is that under Amendment 3, if you don't have one of the listed conditions, you have to go to this medical research private board,
right.
And
the same board
that wants your money, to ask for permission. And one thing I don't see is a grievance process if you're denied. On the other hand, under Amendment 2, you and your doctor decide, is medical marijuana right for me? And there's no team more capable of deciding what's right for you than you and the doctor of your choice.
That's right. And that's really, it's kind of a clear choice. And I'm not going to sit here and be like, "Whoa, it's a really clear choice. You guys can figure out what." I'm voting a yes on 2, no on 3, no on C, because this needs burnt. This guy's what's the word? Begins with a T. It's a
tyrant.
Tyrant.
He is a tyrant.
This man is a tyrant, and we can't. In good conscience of anything, you can't vote that. You just can't vote it.
All right. I think one thing to tackle is I hear a lot of people say, "Why don't I vote yes on all 3?" So to wrap up, simply put, 2 is what you want. If all 3 pass with a majority, it'll be the one that has the most votes that wins. So, yes on 2, no on 3, and C ensures that Amendment 2 passes. Amendment 3 does not, or at the very least, hopefully we'll have more affirmative votes for Amendment 2 than Amendment 3. C, I'm not here to dog on C, okay?
Right. No,
C is good in its own right. Here's my issue with C. Unlike Amendment 2 and 3, which are constitutional amendments, can only be changed by the voters of Missouri. Once we vote C into place, because it's a statutory amendment, the legislators can change it any way they want to. So that's its fatal flaw.
And that's a real concern for us, because it means that we might not ever see it.
Another issue is that if, God forbid, 2 and 3 were to be very close, Bradshaw, who's already sued the new approach Amendment 2 people once, sued the state of Missouri to try to pull it off the ballot before, could realistically tie this thing up in court for years.
Right.
You could tie it up in court for years. And so yes on 2, no on 3, and C ensures that we get Amendment 2 passed. We get properly priced, properly regulated medical marijuana to the people in the state who need it and, quite frankly, deserve it.
It's far past time. It shouldn't have been outlawed in the first place. Tom, I really appreciate you making the time and taking the time to sit down and talk with us. This is very informative, and there's probably a lot more questions that you guys have. If you have them, don't be afraid to ask us in the comment section down below. We'll be keeping our eyes on this video and letting you guys know anything that we know. We'd be happy to help you out. So if
we get too many questions, we'll do a follow-up interview.
Yeah, totally. Guys, stay beautiful, stay positive, have a wonderful day, do something nice for somebody, and vote yes on 2, no on 3, and C.
Yep, get out and vote November 6th.
Cool. Take care, guys.